This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 126 of the Stable Scoop Radio Show. Best-selling author and dressage rider, Tami Hoag. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible.
Our title sponsor is Omega Alpha. You can find them at omegaalpha.ca. This episode is also sponsored by Equestrian Collections at equestriancollections.com and Uncle Jimmy's, and you can find them at uncle-jimmys.com. This is Glenn the Geek.
And this is Helena B. And you're listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network.
Howdy, Helena.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm not under as much snow as you are, though. Got a little storm up there. You know, it started out the beginning of the year that Lexington was getting more than you, and now you've caught up and passed us.
We've got plenty of snow here in New England. Not as much as at my place, but I don't have nearly as much as Boston and some points north. Some places got over 2 feet of snow. And we have just about maybe 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches. Not too bad here on the coast.
I bet you where you used to live, north of Boston, they got 2 feet
Hammered.
of snow.
Hammered. People are posting on Facebook this morning on Dressage. They're hammering out their ice buckets and they're shoveling out their indoors. And yeah.
Have you been able to ride lately, though? It's been kind of snowy, hasn't it?
I haven't ridden in over 3 weeks.
Oh, no. Pie's going to be a nut job.
Well, yeah.
They've been turned out, though?
Oh, yeah. They're out. They're actually really happy, very calm. I'll start him back to work slowly, but I don't think he'll be a nut job because he gets to be out as much as he wants.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And, it's so funny because horses, you think, it's snowing and it's cold and it's blowy. And they have even if they have a 3-sided lean-to that's absolutely dry inside, they're standing out in the snow.
Not my guys. My guys stand. I leave their stall doors open and they have an overhang, and they will hang out under the overhang and go in and out of the stalls. So but it's really, really windy here.
Yeah.
So, and we get a wicked wind coming out of the west every day, pretty much every day. Well, anytime that there's a storm system. And so they really need the barn as a windbreak.
Right.
So they're smart, my guys.
All right. Well, we have a great show planned for today. We have a very special guest. Her name is Tami Hoag. She has only sold, Helena, about 35 million books.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. She'll work on it. She'll get more.
Yeah, that little thing. She actually writes a book a year. And, her books are very thick. They're not thin little children.
No.
We're not talking children's books here.
I know. She's a great mystery writer. I've read a couple of her books, and they definitely are the kind of books that draw you in and keep you there. It's like a little mental vacation.
And people who don't know Tami are probably saying, why are we talking to an author about mystery books? And that is because she is also a Grand Prix dressage rider and has ridden horses her entire life. She actually started out Western. She was riding Western, and instead of having a babysitting job, her dad would bring her home colts to break when she was a teenager. Not
Really?
sure that was such a great idea, but that's what she did. So she learned to ride by breaking colts, and she rode Western, she rode rodeo, she rode timed events, and did different things in the Western world, and discovered dressage one day and is now a Grand Prix dressage rider. And we'll talk to her about how she balances all of that out. She goes between California and Florida.
Tough life.
Yeah, at least she's in 2 of the warmest places right now. So I imagine she's in Florida right now because Wellington's going on. So you would imagine,
she competes on the winter circuit, right?
Yeah, you'd imagine she'd be down there. So we'll talk to her all about that and, what it's like. I'm very fascinated about the book world, too, the author world, and what that's like at her level. So it should be interesting. We're both geeks, so we're probably both interested in that.
And I've always wanted to be a writer, but I can't really write my way out of a paper bag.
That's kind of one of the prerequisites of being a good writer is that you have to be able to write. So
I just said, well, I'll just be happy reading. I'll read.
That's why we do radio. No writing involved.
Exactly.
We can talk. We can do that just fine.
Yeah.
But writing's not my specialty either. But, it's true that everybody wants to... they always say everybody has a novel in them.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they have a novel in them.
Yes, that's a more accurate quote.
Exactly. So it's, it'll be interesting to talk to her about... I want to know, about that first book and all of that stuff. So that'll be cool. We'll have her coming up here shortly. Let's first take a break for one of our commercial sponsors. That's Omega Alpha, who is our title sponsor. And then we'll be back with Tami Hoag. Omega Alpha Pharmaceuticals creates only natural health products. Their scientists, guided by Dr. Gordon Chang, formulate a wide variety of mainly herbal health products to address many equine health problems. And one of their users is international Canadian sensation event rider Jessica Phoenix. And we have Jessica on here for a second to tell us what she thinks about Omega Alpha. Well, hi, Jess. I hear that you use Omega Alpha.
I do. I love their products. I've started using them this year, and the one product that I really love is Anti-Flam. It just takes the sting out of the horse's feet and keeps them moving comfortably. And I know that from using it in our barn, a lot of horses have benefited from it.
You can look for their products at retailers nationwide or visit their website at omegaalpha.ca. That's omegaalpha.ca. Well, hi, Tami, and welcome to the Stable Scoop Show. We really appreciate you taking time out to be on with us. And we're all horse people here, but you also have this other little sideline you do, and selling those millions of books and stressing over writing one a year. By the way, how the heck do you write one book a year? Yours are not thin paperback books.
No, they're not. They're big, fat, really complicated books.
And something that fascinates me so much about you is, and different writers write different ways. Some will do an outline and they kind of have an idea of where the book's supposed to go and what the characters are going to do throughout the book and that kind of thing. Sort of an overall script, and then they get into detail. Right. That's not the way you work, is it?
No, not at all. No, I'll know the crime that starts everything. And I'll know some of the main characters, and then I just kind of turn them loose and see what happens.
That's just amazing to me that you could do that without a plan, and so you're basically living this adventure with them as you're writing it.
Right, exactly. And for me, it's got to be spontaneous, and I want to be surprised and shocked and everything, just like I want the reader to be when they're reading the book. So. And I tried writing from an outline a few times, way back when we wrote on stone tablets, and I didn't like it. I was miserable. I was just miserable because I already knew what was going to happen, and I'm like, well, what's the fun of that? This isn't enjoyable to me. So
your ADD kicked in, and that was it, huh?
Yeah.
So I've only read one of your books so far, and I came upon it quite by accident. That was Guilty as Sin.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it. And one of the things that was so great about it was that it's so complex. You really go, there's all these twists and turns and all these like little, tunnels. How do you, since you're going through this journey for the first time with your characters, how do you pull yourself back? How do you not go off on deep tangents and actually get back to your plot?
Well, I think that's more of an instinctive thing because I'll feel it if I'm going in a wrong direction, and things will just kind of stop. And then I'll have to, sit back and say, okay, where did I go wrong? And I have one whole wall in my office that's whiteboard. And I'll go up to the whiteboard and I'll just write right in the middle of it, what now? And then I'll, draw out from that and really just brainstorm and where is this character and what's going on with that character and something will just show itself, and I'll say, oh, that's the direction I need to be going.
Thank God for whiteboards, right?
Yeah, I love the whiteboard.
I think it's like an essential tool no matter what you do. If you write or ride or you're a mathematician, everybody needs a whiteboard.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, a lot of writers have that one person that they go to when they're stuck. When that writer's block kicks in and they're going, I don't know where to take this. Do you have that person, or is this a solo act?
It's pretty much a solo act. I used to call more on other writer friends and kind of kick things around, and I found that usually if I kicked it around with somebody else, I didn't like anything they had to say. Like, well, why don't you do this? And I'd be like, well, that's stupid. Why did I do that? You know?
That a girl.
That's funny.
Leave me
But
alone
I'm
with my
gonna
books.
just cut that process out, you know, or I'm not going to have any friends left.
Yeah, because then you don't use their stuff and they're going, well, mine was better.
Yeah, exactly.
Writers are kind of that way, too. They're kind of territorial about their work. I mean, it's weird that way. Yeah.
Well, you know, when you this is an emotional journey, too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's you get very.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, kids and pets and horses. Like, don't tell me what to do with my kids. Certainly don't tell me what to do with my horse. You know, he's perfectly happy, 300 pounds overweight. Just leave him alone.
Yeah, exactly. You get very protective.
Yeah.
You know, until the editor comes in. You know, and then I'll stand back and I'll listen to him.
So do you trust your editor the way you trust your trainer?
I trust him pretty much. Not as much as I trust my trainer, but you know, we're all on the same side in the end of it. You know, it's not an adversarial relationship. And
no, I mean the goal is to still sell books. I mean that's still the goal, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, I mean, strip it down to the nuts and bolts. I'm creating a product that they are purchasing to sell. You know, so they should have some say in it. And he usually comes up with really good suggestions. And if he comes up with something that I don't agree with, I'll just say, I don't agree with that. Here's why. And, you know, I'm going to do it this way instead.
How many?
Now, have you been, I'm sorry, Glenn.
Well,
have you been working with your current editor for a long time?
This is, Secrets to the Grave is my second book with him. Okay. I was with another publisher for 20 years on my career and had the same editor for 10 years of that, which is highly unusual. Really, this doesn't happen. And then I made the switch to Dutton, and so this is my second book with him.
So a new relationship.
Yeah.
You're still on your honeymoon.
Yeah.
So
which we know can be kind of tenuous.
That's true. That's true.
Tell us about Secrets to the Grave. What's this new book about?
Secrets to the Grave takes place in 1986 in a small, very idyllic sort of college town in Southern California. And the story revolves around the murder of a beautiful, somewhat mysterious local artist. And the only witness to the crime is her 4-year-old daughter. And as the detectives start digging into her past to look for suspects, they come up with more questions than answers. And they come to the decision that this woman really didn't exist before she moved to this town 4 years ago.
Wow. Well, you know, and I wanted to ask you too. You've had, I think it's, is it 13 consecutive Times bestsellers?
Yeah.
So, which, by the way, you must wake up every day. Do you ever get over that, or do you still wake up every day going, "That's really cool"?
Oh, that's really cool. Absolutely. And every book that comes out, you're like, "Oh my God, I hope this isn't the one that breaks the streak." You know? Like, then I'm going to be really sad. But.
I doubt it will be. I have so many questions, and I know Helena does too. Have you ever had the desire to write books about horses, going that route, or have you always kept those two worlds completely separate?
Well, I kept them really separate until, when did I write that book? 1990. Oh, no, it was about 2000. 2001, I wrote Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, yeah.
Which, yeah, combined, the thriller genre with the setting in Wellington and the backdrop of the international show jumping and all of that. And I had a great time doing it. And then I wrote Alibi Man, which was the same characters in the same setting, and I enjoyed that. And I'll go back to that character eventually and do another, but. Yeah, I had always kept the things separate before because, it was like the one kind of keeps me sane. The horses kind of keep me sane, and then I come home and work, and so I kind of didn't want to taint that with work. But I had a lot of fun doing that.
You'd think that there's so much drama in the horse world. My gosh. I know that there'd be plenty of raw material.
There's so much I can't even decide what to pick.
Have you ever fox hunted, Tami? Try that.
I watched from afar because I thought, okay, even I'm not crazy enough to hurl myself across the country.
Drunk, by the way.
Drunk.
That's the prerequisite.
Yes, of course, drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. This is, I'm a little bit of a control freak. This is maybe not the sport for me.
Dressage is a good one then for you.
Yes, it's perfect.
Now, you obviously are. We mentioned earlier that you started out riding Western, which is fascinating too, in one of the coldest places in the country, we might add.
Right.
And I noticed now you live in California and Florida, which eliminates that whole cold thing.
Yeah, I switched the cold thing a while ago.
I read a quote, that your polar bear quote.
Yes. Yeah, I used to have that. I used to have this little cartoon on my bulletin board, and it was two polar bears, and the one says to the other one, "I don't care what they say, I'm cold." And that was me. I was the little polar bear that was always cold. I'm like, I don't like it. I don't like to be cold.
Where are you right now? Are you in Florida?
I'm in Florida. Yeah.
Good. And have you started the competitive circuit down there yet?
Getting ready to. I've had a couple of small warm-up shows, and I'll start, in a serious way next week.
Okay. Now, I'm a fan of your books. I'm a little bit starstruck, I have to tell you the truth. I could talk to you about your novels till the cows come home, but what I really want to ask you about is your horses.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Who are you training with now?
I train with Betsy Steiner. Betsy and I have been friends now for over a decade. We've worked together pretty much all that time. And now it's like, we can read each other's minds, which is so cool. We were working yesterday with one of my Grand Prix horses, Bacchus, and we were working on really intricate stuff. And we both got so into it, and Bacchus too. He the horses really get into that really minute, intricate work. And suddenly I looked at my watch, and like an hour and a half had gone by. I'm like, oh my God, do you realize what time it is? And we couldn't believe it. But, we just both get so into it. So that's been great. That's been really a great relationship. And then I've also in the past year been clinicking with Stephan Peters, which is terrific. And Betsy also clinics with Stephan with one of her horses. So we have a great little triangle there.
That's nice. Now, I noticed you used the word clinic as a verb.
Yeah, yes.
I couldn't let you get away with that one. That's definitely a horse world thing.
Definitely. Oh, it is definitely.
You're busted.
Your
editor would have plucked that one out, yeah.
Yes. This is not a verb. I'm like, this is my world. It was funny. When I was writing Dark Horse, I had an editor, and it was the only book I worked with him because we just really didn't get along. But I had written 150 pages or something, and I turned it in to him, and he called me back, and he said, well, it reads really well, but it's not very believable. I'm like, oh, really? And he goes, well, who would do business with people like this? They're slimy and crooked, and I'm like, welcome to my other world.
No kidding.
Who of us doesn't know a crooked horse dealer, And I'm like, that's a real guy, actually. Changed his name, but he's a real guy.
That's funny.
Yeah, things that don't pass in the real world definitely fly in the horse world.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So what's harder? What is harder, learning to pee off and do all of that, or writing a book?
Oh my gosh, writing a book, really, because the sitting on a horse is something that's very natural to me, and writing is too. But writing is just the characters don't always cooperate as well as my horses do.
Yeah, but you don't fall off the characters, do you? Although maybe you do.
Oh, it could be just as painful.
they can, they can knock me for a pretty good loop, if they weren't going my way, and it's been years since I came off a horse, so.
I just have this picture, the old movies. I have this picture of Tami sitting there at this old beautiful desk, and the piles of wrinkled up paper all over the office.
Right.
That's what I have this picture. You don't see that anymore because of computers, but that would be your life, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah, because I like to, I edit as I go, so I'll write something and I'll go back over it and then I'll tinker with it and I'll add this and take away that. And, I would single-handedly deforest the world if I had to be doing this on paper.
I can't.
So, sorry, I'm back to horses. I can't help myself.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, so we're so in addition to Bacchus, who else do you have in your barn these days, and what are you doing with them?
Bacchus is a Grand Prix horse, and he's a seasoned Grand Prix horse, but he was off for almost 2 years with an injury, so he's like brand new now. He's all fixed and sound and really, really into it. And then I've got an 11-year-old horse that is slightly smaller than an Indian elephant, and he is also a Grand Prix horse. He's fairly new to Grand Prix, and he's fairly new to me. I got him. I think he came last year in June, and so I'm really, really excited about him, and very anxious to get in the show ring with him. Then I've got another one turning 13. And he's my delicate flower. He was out all last year with one injury, and we were almost over the hump with the one injury, and then he fractured a splint bone, and he had to have surgery, and then we had months and months of rehab, and so he was coming right along, and then he developed chronic uveitis in his one eye, and so he had a cyclosporin implant put in his eye last week. So it'll be a month or two before he's ready to go in the show ring. And then I've got Feliki, who was my first Grand Prix horse, and she is still number one, that mare. She's 24. She's 24 this year. And she is far and away the wildest ride I have every day. She does not have any clue how old she is.
And that just makes you love her all the more.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I love it when they have some personality and spunk, and she gets carried away with herself, and she'll leap up in the air and do all kinds of crazy. And I just laugh. I just think it's great.
Well, that comes from your teenage days, and we're going to get to that right after this commercial break. Comes from your teenage days when your father was trying to kill you.
On a regular basis. Yeah.
And we better explain that right after this commercial break. Regular listeners to the Stable Scoop Show know that Helena and I just love Uncle Jimmy's and his fantastic line of products. His products have the highest quality ingredients, and that is why they have taken off like they have. Of course, it all started with Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls for use in the stalls, and then came squeezy buns. We know you need to reward your horse outside of the stall as well. That is why Uncle Jimmy developed Uncle Jimmy's squeezy buns. Squeezy buns are all natural and loaded with nutritional ingredients for your horse. Unlike similar products on the market, they are individually wrapped to preserve freshness and eliminate mess. With competitive pricing and Uncle Jimmy's quality guarantee, the Squeezy Buns promise to be a hit among horses and horse lovers alike. Learn more about all of Uncle Jimmy's products or to find a dealer, visit uncle-jimmys.com. That's uncle-jimmys.com. Well, Tami, now I mentioned that I know I had heard your interview with Chris on the Dressage radio show a while back, and I just thought it was funny that, most kids do, like you said, have that babysitting job when they're a young teenager. Instead, your father was bringing home babies for you to break. Was he trying to break the horses or you? Which one? Or a little bit of both?
My dad, I always liken my dad to Mr. Magoo. He doesn't ever see the potential for disaster in anything. So he came home one day and he goes, "Oh, so-and-so's sending a 3-year-old for you to break to ride." And I'm like, "Huh? How do we do that?" And that was just, he just never thought anything bad would happen, and he'd be like, somebody bring a horse over and then, "Well, he's a little wild," and my dad would say, "Oh, sure, he's nothing. He's fine. She'll be fine. terrifying, and there's like eyes rolling back in his head and fire coming out of his nose, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not going to live to maturity. So yeah, it was kind of crazy.
But you know what? You learned how to stick on a horse, didn't you?
Boy, you better believe it.
Yeah.
You better believe it. I rode anything and everything, and catch rides and everything else, and it is really, really hard to get me off a horse, no matter what they're doing.
So
Now,
when you're not, and dressage is it's very I want to say disciplined, but it's a pretty tight discipline. You really have to work hard and concentrate. What do you do to do you have a chance to get out and yahoo a little bit when you're riding?
Yeah, every once in a while. Like last year, I played polo a couple of times.
Oh,
so
cool.
That was really fun. Yeah, that was great. Kind of awakened the latent cowgirl in me. So that was really fun. And I'll occasionally take one of mine for a hack, but none of us really are. Like I don't really get the enjoyment.
You're not
out
shooting
of that.
guns off of your.
Not yet.
No.
But it does sound appealing, doesn't it?
It does.
I know.
Yes, a friend of mine was just telling me about a new sport where you ride and shoot guns. So I'm like, well, I'm there.
Yeah, our co-host on the Western radio show, Tami, is the world champion mounted shooter. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, she has 150 belt buckles on her wall.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yes.
And you have to wear a skirt when you compete.
Yes, that's right.
Are you kidding me?
No.
No, how cool is that?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I don't think I'd care for that.
35 million books in print and you can't ride in a skirt? Come on.
Somebody dared me, I probably would do it. Yeah.
So there's no desire to put those barrels up in your arena and do a little pattern?
Every once in a while. When I'm riding Feliki, I always say, I should have made her a barrel racing horse because we could have won a lot of money. As everyone knows, there is no money in dressage in the United States. So I'm still a little tempted.
Unless it's the kind of money that's falling out of your pockets and
There's a lot of that kind of money, the going out kind of money.
Yeah.
Now, do you have your own farm down there, or do you board?
No, I board. I'm at a really terrific facility, and now I'm going to be in Florida full time because I got kind of tired of going back and forth, and I wanted that kind of continuity for my horses with their vet care and their farrier and everything. And going back was always, I would hold my breath for 5 months and hope that nobody got hurt because it's not the same level of care out there. I mean, we're so spoiled here in Wellington for. We've got the best vets, we've got the best farriers, and to step down from that, that just wasn't a good thing. So I'm here now. So I needed obviously the summers here are quite brutal, and so I moved my horses to a facility that has a beautiful, oversized covered arena, and also a regular outdoor ring, and it's in an area where we can hack and stuff like that. So it's really great.
It sounds kind of relaxed compared to the LA environment.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's much quieter. Wellington in the summer is pretty sleepy, but it's nice. It's nice. I actually enjoyed it.
I'm a little jealous, I have to say, because I was down there over the weekend. I went down for the helmet symposium that they had there at Wellington, and I have to say I'm a little bit jealous because I woke up and I'd walk out in the morning with my jacket on, and I'd have to take it off, and it was like
immediately.
I'm not used to that.
Yeah, well, if you were here today, you would keep it on because it's a little chilly. But we're the only state that doesn't have snow right now.
Yeah,
I know.
I heard that.
Snow in like 49 states. There is no snow in Florida. So.
That is the news of the day. Florida is. And we've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends who are heading down there this week to start competing, and they're all bringing their winter clothes with them.
Yeah, well, there are days that are a little bit nippy. We got down, I think, into the high 30s last night, so that's cold for us.
Now, are your horses getting a little fresh?
Our horses, they get a little fresh because they're all body clipped and stuff. So, they come out, snorting and jumping around, and it's fun though. It's nice. I like it when they're a little fresh like that.
Yeah, it's sometimes they say, would I rather create the energy or would I rather control it? And I'll tell you, I'm one of those people who needs to control it because if I have to create it, my arms start flapping and I get all wiggly.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you about your day. You obviously have a lot going on in any given day.
Yeah.
What do you do? You get up, do you hang out in your pajamas all day and write? Or do your horse boots go on first?
The riding boots go on first. Yeah, I'm up early and tending to the dogs, and I have to do my stretching routine because I'm not as young as I used to be. It's funny how that happens, and I'm like, this hurts and that aches, and so I've got to stretch everything out, then get dressed, go ride, eat breakfast in the car on the way, and so I've got 4 horses to ride every day right now. So that means I don't get back until around 1:30, 2 o'clock, and usually eat lunch in the car on the way back, and my traveling cafeteria, and then I go to the office, and I have to go through all the business stuff, the business emails and stuff like that, and then start writing, and I'll go over what I wrote the day before and tinker with that, and then eventually get on with it and start some new material. And then usually, like around 5 or so, I try to go to the gym and then come back and, I'll watch some gruesome true crime thing on television while I'm grabbing dinner, and, as research. And then I'm back in the office, and I work, most nights I work until about 11. I try not to work past that until we get into deadline, and then it gets really, really crazy. Then it's, 2:30, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Do you work better under pressure?
Yeah, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, and I do I get a big rush from that when the chips are down and I've got to get something turned in. It's a little bit of a high with that. So I used to be very much the other way, and I would work way ahead of time, and I would just be way ahead of the game. And now I find I have gone to kind of letting myself get under pressure, but
you should be an eventer, not a dressage rider.
Just I really should think about boxing.
There was a day when I did think about that back when, and I was married at the time, and my husband was like, "Oh, please don't do that." So,
we're going to take one more short break here, and then we'll wrap up. We each have, I think, we each have about 1,000 more questions, but we'll limit it to one. So we'll be right back after this commercial break with Tami, all about her writing and riding. Hey everyone, it's that time of the year again for after holiday closeout sales, and Equestrian Collections has hundreds of items for you at tremendous savings up to 70% off. Closeouts from Ariat, JPC, Pessoa, Ovation, and so many more. Highly discounted specials include ladies' apparel, footwear, saddle pads, bags, belts, coats, and the list goes on and on. Remember, you can save up to 70% now, but this is a closeout and quantities are limited. So grab the keyboard and type in equestriancollections.com. You'll see the great big ad right on their homepage for all of their closeout specials now for the month of January. Get them before they're gone at equestriancollections.com. And we're back, Tami, and again, thank you so much for joining us today. This is so much fun to chat with you and to learn, how you're doing and how you do it all. I mean, it's amazing that you can write one book a year, which blows my mind, by the way. It still blows my mind. Let me ask you this, and this is from a business side. This is the geek coming out, and then I'll let Helena end it with a horse question. You've had 13 bestsellers. You have like 35 million books in print, and I know that publishers, are data crazy. They love data. Have you ever determined, or have the publishers ever determined how many of your fans are what percentage of your fans are the loyal fans that read every book and look forward to them coming out, and how many of each book sold is the casuals that stop by and have never seen you before, that kind of thing?
Well, that's hard to pinpoint. They go with raw numbers, and they to my knowledge, they've never done like a survey kind of thing where they figure out who the readers are. I get more of that because readers send me mail and whatnot, and so I probably know better than they do who the readers are. But they're all about the raw numbers for sure, and they're very meticulous, keeping track and how one book did and how's the new book doing. Are we ahead of what the book was last year and that kind of thing.
And your book tours, are they like the most tiring thing you do? They're tiring.
Exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. I love the actual events, which we do in the evening, to do a book signing, and I love, to interact with fans and answer their questions and stuff, and we always have a terrific time. But the travel aspect of that is really exhausting because you might be up at 4 or 5 in the morning to make a plane so you can get to the next city, so you can be on the morning radio, and your day doesn't end until like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So it's pretty grueling.
Ooh. And then you don't get to see your horses.
And I don't get to see my horses, and I don't get to have my dogs in bed with me.
Now, this is going to be, I'm going to wrap it with a horse question. I read in your bio that your first pony was a fella named Dan, right?
Yes. Well, actually, there was a pony before Dan.
Oh, okay.
But he was like evil incarnate. Dan was my first nice pony that I actually learned things on.
The first one she wants to remember.
Right.
Exactly.
Let's just pretend that he's your first. Okay,
we will.
Since
Okay.
we live
Dan
in the
was
world
my
of the
first
imagination, we're just going to pretend. We're going to rewrite the story of Tami.
All right.
That he had taught you a lot about compassion and responsibility. And he basically gave you the foundation of your horsemanship. What lessons did you take away from your relationship with him that you use today, either in riding or in your human relationships, your life?
Well, for sure, the basic care and everything, the things that people learn in Pony Club. We didn't have Pony Club where I grew up, so I learned by doing, and so all the basic care issues, and I spent a tremendous amount of time with that pony, and would just hang out with him, and he was one of those just golden babysitter ponies that would, nothing fazed him, and so I totally appreciated that, particularly in light of that imaginary pony that came before him, and so. Yeah, and he was my first experience in the show ring was driving him in a little kart class.
Oh, cool!
And yeah. So that was great, and I learned all kinds of things. I would harness him up myself and take him out and go all over town. Oh my goodness, that's my phone.
Okay, we can still hear
you. Okay, good. So I learned a lot of that good basic stuff.
Well, Tami, this has been a pleasure. Thank you again so much for joining us. It's just neat to hear somebody that's done so much and yet still is competing at the level that you are. You have two completely separate careers and are doing very well at both. So good luck this winter on the circuit there in Florida, and we hope to see some blue ribbons in addition to some book sales.
I hope so.
Thanks, Tami.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, Helena, we say this almost every week, but it's so true. We have the best job in the world. We get to talk to the coolest people.
I was a little tongue-tied. I mean, I've only read one of her books, but I loved it so much. And you said, we have Tami Hoag on. What? Huh? What? What do I ask her?
You did a good job asking her the horse questions, and it sort of was like I asked the non-horse questions, you asked the horse questions, so it worked out good.
Well, it was hard to pick which question I want to ask because I do love books. I love mystery novels. I love the genre in which she writes. So I did want to, the book that I read, Guilty of Sin, was awesome. So yeah. I'm an Audible guy. I listen to all the books through audible.com. I download them and listen to them on my iPod. I hardly ever read anymore, but because I don't have time. But when I'm driving and, when I'm walking or working out or whatever, I listen to books. And so I'm going to have to start downloading hers, I think, and get caught up. Yeah, she's, like I said, her books are a good mental vacation because they are so complex that they draw you deep into the storyline. And It's pretty cool.
I would like her then because I'm a Tom Clancy kind of guy, and he's the same way. They're very complicated, complex books, and I kind of like that. So
she's a bright woman, and you can feel that through her storytelling. She's very sharp, and she does her homework. There's good, solid research, I think, behind her stories.
And you can find all of her books and information about Tami at TamiHoag, TamiHoag.com, or just search for it. They're everywhere. Amazon, everybody has her books. And
her newest book, Secrets of the Grave.
Secrets of the Grave.
Doesn't that sound like just enticing?
I know. I did want to list that one. Does sound good.
In fact, I think I might get it.
I wonder if she does. We never got to ask this either. I wonder how much on-site research. Does she go to morgues? Does she go to police stations? Because you hear about authors doing that.
Ooh, let's have her back and ask her that.
I know.
Damn, we forgot.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening, and we appreciate it. Don't forget to listen in to our morning show, 9 a.m. every morning that we do, and also. I don't know that we've mentioned this on this show, but in 2 weeks, Helene and I and Jamie and Jennifer are going to be together at the American Equestrian Trade Association Conference in Philadelphia. We're going to be recording some of our Tack and Habit shows, so hop on over and take a listen to Tack and Habit. If you haven't, that's a show that Helene and I do all about products. We chat about 2 new products every week, and we go to the trade show to find out what new products are coming up for the spring and summer. And we'll give you a preview of all those new products first, right on Tack and Habit. We're the only show they're recording right at the convention, and it's going to be a lot of fun this time. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be awesome there. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the new stuff, especially the spring stuff. It'll get me hopeful for warm weather.
Yes, and we're going to need it probably at Philadelphia in January. So
let's just hope we don't have another blizzard.
I know. I was thinking about that too. How are we all going to get there and do our thing? Because we recorded like 20 segments for Tack and Habit the last time we were there with different manufacturers, and this time we're going to do that, and we're recording the morning show live from there on Monday morning.
Oh.
So we'll be live on the morning show there as well. So we have a lot to do that weekend, and it's going to be fun. And it's also Super Bowl weekend.
It is?
Yeah, it's always Super Bowl weekend. Why they do that, I'm not sure, but it's always Super Bowl weekend. Yeah, I don't know why they do that, but they do.
Well, we'll just have to all get together in each other's hotel rooms, and we'll get chips and stuff.
Hey, we can buy beer there.
Maybe the chocolate guy will be there again. He could give us another bucket of chocolate.
That's true.
I
forgot about him.
We can watch all the Budweiser Draft Horse commercials.
That's right. We all like. I think Jamie's a football fan more than we are, but we definitely watch for the commercials.
Yes, yeah. And then we can do. We should do an analysis on the commercials after. So
there we
on
go.
Stable Scoop, we'll do. We'll post our favorite commercials.
There we go. I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true or not, that Budweiser wasn't doing horses this year in their commercials. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but that's what I heard.
Oh, we're going to have to find that out.
That's like sacrilege, isn't it?
I will never buy another Budweiser product ever again in my life.
Do you drink it now?
No, but still. I won't let my husband buy it. He doesn't drink it either, though. But I will just tell everybody I know not to buy Budweiser products until they air another horse commercial in the Super Bowl. That's just lame. Why would they do that? That's somebody teasing you. That's like apple pie and Chevrolet. You can't have a Super Bowl without a Budweiser.
That's what I heard, but we'll see. I guess we'll see it in a couple of weeks. We'll find out. To be honest, I follow football so much I don't even know who's in the playoffs. So, anyway, be sure to tune into all of our shows at horseradionetwork.com. This is your cue to continue.
I am just a mess today. Be sure to visit.
Okay, the way it works is when I stop talking, you start talking.
I know. It's
episode. Hard to believe it's episode number 126, everybody.
But if you want details about episode 126, which would be today's show, see, I got that right, go to www.stablescoop.com. You will find links, photos, and more information about today's guest. And we do love your feedback, so please follow us on Facebook under Stable Scoop. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear what you think about the shows, as well as ideas for future shows. You can all blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Twitter, Horse Radio.
And many thanks to our sponsors for continuing to sponsor show, Mega Alpha, Equestrian Collections, and Uncle Jimmy's. Very funny thing I'll tell you really quickly that happened on the morning show the other morning is our friend Michelle from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from Right Lead Equestrian Center, has a horse that had got colic on Christmas Day, had to have surgery, and she's been going through this. So she called to give us an update, and she said, and I bought Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls and put them in the stall, and my horse was scared to death of his balls. So Uncle Jimmy heard it, and he wrote me a message the next day and said, I have heard of people being scared, or horses being scared of my balls before. He said, but if you leave my balls hanging there long enough, they just get used to them. So apparently that's the remedy if you buy some Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls. You just leave them there, and the horses get used to them. So it was very funny. It was a funny moment on the morning show all about Uncle Jimmy's hanging balls. And they are, most horses are not afraid of them. They just devour them.
Well, because they smell so good,
Yes, exactly. I'm looking
horses.
forward to going because he always gives us a case of balls when we're there. So we ran out, and Beaker hasn't had any of those sweet treats in a while. So
how's his weight doing?
his weight is a little better now over the winter because it's been so cold. There's just nothing to eat. There's no grass or anything. Now, she puts round bales out there, and he nibbles on the hay. But you can give them all the hay they want.
Yeah.
It's that green grass that makes them so fat.
Yeah,
So
he must have a little pony in him somewhere in his background.
he's got a quarter horse pony in him, I think.
Or pony.
Yeah, it just makes him fat.
The Beaksters. All right. Well, you are listening to the Stable Scoop Radio Show. This is Helena B., and I'm with Glenn the Geek, and we will be back next week with more fun.
Sold.
Cool.